Hi everyone, welcome back to X10 Manhwa. Today, we are recapping a story called Dragon Rearing, Scales Against the Sky. Let's get started. In this world, power comes from one thing, beastification. It's a sacred bond between humans and beasts that unlocks strength far beyond mortal limits. So you'd think our MC, Lambcam, would be a top-tier beast tamer, right? Wrong. My guy can't even connect with a pet rock. This basically makes him the school's #1 punching bag and laughingstock. Ever since he was a kid, Lambcam has tried to forge that sacred bond. But forget bonding. Most beasts literally avoid him like he's got the plague. And Lambcam is just as confused. He can feel this insane, dormant power calling out from deep within him, but he just can't seem to tap into it. Cut to today, during a track and field competition. And it's the same old story. A bunch of trash-tier NPCs are ganging up on our boy like usual. They even shove him, sending him tumbling to the ground mid-race. To dodge any more drama, Lambcam has to get creative. So my guy pulls a pro-gamer move. He bites his own tongue, using the blood as a perfect excuse to dip to the nurse's office. Afterwards, he slips away to a massive wall to wait for someone. His friend is about to arrive. Right on cue, a pair of shoes enters his line of sight. Yo, I knew you'd come in dead last. Get on your knees. I at least managed to be second to last. Lambcam looks up. It's a girl with cat ears and a smug look. Her tone is a bit bossy, but there's no real malice behind it. This is Gia Phi, one of Lambcam's only friends. Where's the milk? Hand it over, Lambcam says, holding out his hand. Gia Phi looks stunned. Dude, how did you know? 'Cause you always buy me milk when you're trying to cheer me up, he says, taking the carton. All right, your turn. Guess what I'm about to say next. Gia Phi launches into her usual spiel. Heard you got messed with again. I was just about to go teach those clowns a lesson, but my stomach started acting up. Next time, for real, I'll totally wreck them for you. As she's saying this, Lambcam mouths the exact same words, not missing a beat. It's clear he's heard this speech 1,000 times. Whoa, dude, that's insane. Don't tell me you awakened as the legendary prophet beast or something? Gia Phi's eyes are practically sparkling. Lay off the web novels, will ya? What the heck is a prophet beast anyway? Gia Phi goes back to wondering. Her friend is so sharp, yet for some reason, he just can't seem to beastify. But no matter what, she's got his back and is always brainstorming ways to help him finally awaken his power. For instance, tonight she's invited him to a so-called study group that discusses 365 ways to beastify. She tells him to meet her in the forest behind the mountain. But Lambcam is giving her major side-eye, not buying it for a second. You? A study group? Yeah, right. I'd rather get some sleep. And with that, our boy turns to walk away. But Gia Phi isn't having it. She dashes after him and grabs his sleeve. She's literally shaking, begging him. Lambcam, please, you have to come. I'm begging you. Her voice is on the verge of tears, and the trembling is getting more and more intense. This actually throws Lambcam off for a second. But just as he's about to ask what's got her so worked up, Gia Phi bursts out laughing. Just kidding. I totally got you again. Like I'd ever reveal my secret techniques to a noob like you. Later, you can just stay here and admire my greatness from afar. And with that, she actually leaves this time. Fast forward to that night. Gia Phi shows up to the meeting spot in the forest, all alone, and she is visibly terrified. 2 dudes are already there waiting for her. It's 2 of the same trash-tier NPCs who pushed Lambcam during the race. The white-haired one scoffs, "You finally showed up. Why are you alone? I told you to lure that loser Lambcam here." Lambcam got a bad case of diarrhea. He couldn't make it, Gia Phi says, forcing out a lame excuse. Big mistake. The second the words leave her mouth, one of the punks slaps her right across the face. Remember our study group's ultimate technique? Forget grinding and hard work. Direct supplementation is the fastest way to boost our beastification rate. So, question is, since Lambcam isn't on the menu, what are we having for a late-night snack? As they say this, they both transform, revealing vicious beast forms that make Gia Phi's cute cat girl look like a kitten. Just when Gia Phi thinks she's about to get absolutely cooked, a voice echoes from the distance. This is security! Freeze! What are you students doing over there? Hearing security, the 2 goons panic and immediately let Gia Phi go. In that split second, another hand shoots out. It snatches her, pulls her into the shadows, and covers her mouth. Shh, be quiet. a voice whispers from above. She instantly recognizes it. It's Lamcam. So, this is that study group you mentioned? Lamcam's voice is laced with anger, while Gia looks like she's about to burst into tears from fear. Without waiting for an answer, Lamcam knows the situation is bad and starts dragging her away. Meanwhile, the two clowns quickly realize something's off. There's no security guard anywhere. There's just a phone left in the bushes, playing a recording of a guard's voice. By the time they figure out they've been played, Gia is long gone. Lamcam's plan was to get her out of there quietly and bounce. But who would have guessed? He turns around and comes face to face with another shady character. "What do you two think you're doing?" "The Lee, it's dangerous here. We need to," Lamcam starts to say, but he never gets to finish the word leave. Because before he can, his instincts scream at him that danger is right on top of them. Instantly, our boy shoves Gia out of the way with all his might. She goes flying and slams hard into a tree trunk. The poor girl lets out a single cry before getting knocked out cold. A satisfied smirk appears on the Lee's face. "Pretty sharp, aren't you? You sense that immediately. Just what I'd expect from the man I've set my sights on." At the same time, the other two goons return, addressing the Lee as young miss. Lamcam looks down to find his hands already bound tight. It finally clicks. They're all on the same team. The Lee then begins her own beastification, her smile twisting into something monstrous. Her mouth opens unnaturally wide. It's so weird. You can't even beastify, and yet there's this irresistible aura about you. I just can't take my eyes off you. Suddenly, the threads binding Lamcam's wrists tighten, their sharp edges digging into his skin and drawing blood. The scent of fresh blood sends the Lee into a frenzy. Ah, that intoxicating sweetness. The scent of pure, ancient blood, I absolutely adore it. While she's having her villain monologue, Lamcam has only one thing on his mind: breaking free from her spider silk. He manages to pull out a dagger, but it's completely useless against the threads. The Lee just laughs, telling him her silk is tougher than steel. All his struggling is pointless. Next, she starts attacking him with her grotesque spider legs. Even biting his lip, our boy can't help but groan in pain. Seeing Lamcam in agony seems to strip away the last of the Lee's humanity. At this point, she's nothing more than a bloodthirsty monster. But our boy Lamcam is built different. He's got an iron will and refuses to back down. Unfortunately, since he can't beastify, the power gap between them is just too massive. In the blink of an eye, she impales one of his arms with a spider leg. To everyone watching, it looks like Lamcam is completely cooked. But little did they know, our boy manipulated her attack, guiding it to strike his own joint. Then, gritting his teeth, he uses his dagger to start cutting. He slices through the remaining flesh, connecting his forearm and bicep, severing his own arm to escape her trap. An absolute Giga Chad move. This move leaves the two NPC goons absolutely speechless. That psycho, he intentionally let his joint get pierced just so he could cut off his own arm? While they're still processing this insane play, Lamcam is already on the move. The Lee snaps at them. "What are you standing there for? Go get him!" The two clowns snap out of it and take off after Lamcam. But things are looking grim for our boy. Between the agony of his self-amputated arm and massive blood loss, his vision is starting to blur. He even thinks this might be the end for him. He keeps dragging himself forward on pure instinct, right on the verge of collapsing. And that's when he hears it again, that familiar call that has been echoing in his soul for years. Through his hazy vision, he spots a faint light ahead. It's like a lifeline in the darkness. In the split second before his enemies can grab him, Lamcam uses every last ounce of his strength to dive towards that light. But what he's actually done is throw himself off a massive cliff. Naturally, the two goons can't follow him down. They just write him off as a psycho and start looking for a safer way down the mountain. "Go find him. We need to see a body, dead or alive." Lamcam ends up landing on a patch of grass. And incredibly, despite falling from that insane height, he's still clinging to life. When the Lee and her minions finally make it down, they find a long trail of blood leading away from the landing spot. It stretches all the way to an old, dilapidated door. This proves Lamcam dragged his battered body through it. But none of them have ever seen a building like this on school grounds. The two NPCs are getting spooked, but the Lee, obsessed with the scent of Lamcam's blood, isn't backing down. She decides to go in. Behind the door lies what looks like a massive, abandoned research facility. Inside, they can still see Lamcam's blood trail. They follow the trail of blood, and finally, in a place bathed in a faint red glow, they spot a pair of shoes. He's over there. The Lee cries out, but the words die in her throat. She and her two lackeys freeze, completely stunned. A bizarre and eerie atmosphere descends upon the abandoned workshop, because right in front of them is a colossal, living dragon. The group is so shocked they can't even form words. After a long moment of silence, the Lee finally screams. Her face twists, losing all composure. A dragon? Weren't dragons supposed to be extinct for 20 years? It's a real dragon, a legendary tier beast, the ultimate prize. Gazing at the massive creature, it's not just the three clowns who are overwhelmed. Tears stream down Lamcam's face as he asks a silent question. All this time, was it you calling to me? A torrential surge of power suddenly floods into Lamcam's body. Sensing the sudden shift, the Lee screams again, this time with pure desperation. No! He's starting to beastify! Take him out now while he's still weak! And with that, the Lee lunges. As her sharp poison needles fly towards him, a figure dashes in front of Lamcam to take the hit. When his vision clears, he sees it's Gia Phi. I'm sorry, Lamcam, for lying to you about the study group, she says weakly, clearly in bad shape. Get out of my way, you little brat, the Lee shrieks. She then impales Gia Phi straight through the chest with one of her spider legs. It looks like this psycho is about to tear her to pieces. But then, a shadow blitzes past. It grabs Gia Phi, pulling her to safety and simultaneously deflecting the Lee's attack. Even though she's severely injured and barely conscious, at this super close range, the transformation of the person holding her instantly snaps Gia Phi wide awake. It's Lamcam. And not just Lamcam, it's a fully beastified Lamcam. Flames erupt from his hands, engulfing his opponent. The intense heat makes the Lee scream in agony. Seeing that Lamcam has literally turned into a dragon and their boss is about to become a side of barbecue spider, the two minions wisely decide to dip. Our boy isn't in the mood to chase them just yet, not with Gia Phi in his arms. He gently sets her down and reassures her. It's okay now, just wait here for a minute. The second he finishes speaking, the figure in front of Gia Phi vanishes. Next thing they know, he appears like a phantom right in front of the two fleeing clowns. You're the one who slapped Gia Phi, aren't you? Lamcam demands, not even waiting for a reply. A fatal slash across the neck appears out of nowhere, and the goon drops instantly. The remaining clown completely loses it. He frantically tries to explain himself. I didn't slap her, it wasn't me. But you hit her on the head. Lamcam explains with zero mercy. Then he sends this one on his way with the same one-way ticket to the afterlife. With the trash taken out, he returns to the Lee, who's still being roasted by the flames. By now, she's screaming like an absolute psycho. It's too hot! It's too hot! I was wrong, Lamcam! Weren't you always sneaking glances at me? You can have all of me. You can do whatever you want with me. She says this with absolute confidence. She figures, even though he's just awakened his power, he's still just a guy. And what guy could possibly resist her so-called charms? But in reality, the thing writhing in the flames is just a decoy, an empty husk she shed. As long as her real body gets away, she's sure she can still win this. That old dragon is clearly on its last legs. The Lee is confident that the million spiders she can summon will devour it until not even bones are left. After that, Lamcam will go right back to being the useless loser he was before. You want to turn me into your slave, your most pathetic little slave, Lamcam says, his voice dripping with disgust, after a long pause. The Lee is completely floored. How? How did you know what I was thinking? So, what made you think you could possibly fool me this time? Lamcam completely ignores the empty decoy, the Lee left behind, and approaches her true body. By the time Lamcam is standing right in front of her, the Lee hasn't even processed that her cover is blown. The result? Our boy proceeds to absolutely fold her, beating her to a bloody pulp. He doesn't stop until her entire body goes limp. After taking care of the three clowns, Lamcam feels his newfound power starting to fade away. Finally, he reverts back to his normal, human form. Lamcam turns his gaze to the ancient dragon, which is also staring intently at him. Is it because you're dying? Lamcam wonders. Suddenly, the dragon's eyes burst into flame. Immediately after, the fire spreads rapidly, engulfing its entire body in a blazing inferno. Watching the colossal body in front of him get swallowed by the flames, Lamcam is completely mesmerized, unable to even blink. But to his complete surprise, when the flames finally die down, a single dragon egg is left in its place. That's right, it didn't die. It was a rebirth. Lamcam reaches out and takes the egg into his arms. So, this was the dragon's true gift to him all along. A powerful new life, its journey just beginning. Sometime later, Gia wakes up with a massive headache and an aching body. Lamcam is standing right beside her. Seeing she's no longer in the creepy old factory, she asks where they are. My room, Lamcam answers casually. Nobody wants to be my roommate, so feel free to crash a little longer. Hearing this, Gia nearly screams, crossing her arms over her chest. And here I thought we were bros. Don't tell me you took advantage of me. As if Lamcam scoffs. Weren't you the one always sneaking glances at your goddess, the Lee? Who knew she was actually a venomous snake? That's when it all comes flooding back to Gia. Those absolute clowns forced her to lure Lamcam to the study group, then the Lee showed up, wanting to kill them both, and then Lamcam beastified into a dragon to save her. That's hilarious. A loser like you? Beastifying? I must be dreaming, she says, clutching her stomach and laughing. Believing it was all just a nightmare, she lies back down, pulls up the covers, and decides to sleep off the headache. Lamcam thinks for a moment. He can't let anyone find out about the baby dragon. Gia is easy enough to fool, but given their friendship, he feels he doesn't need to hide it from her. So he decides to tell her the truth. You weren't dreaming. I really did beastify into a dragon. Little Cam, are you having delusions of grandeur now? Gia still doesn't believe him. Lamcam explains that what happened last night was a one-time burst, and his beastification ability is still super weak. If he wants to wield that kind of power again, he has to successfully raise this baby dragon. With that, he pulls out the creature he'd been hiding in his closet. It's a baby dragon, about the size of a toddler, sleeping soundly. Gia stares blankly for a few seconds, making Lamcam a little nervous. Then, her mood completely explodes. Oh my god, it's so cute! My heart of stone is melting, I want to pet it! Yup, that's Gia for you, acting like a complete child. Lamcam lets out a quiet sigh of relief. They both know that, technically, dragons have been extinct for decades. If word got out, everyone would be trying to get their hands on it. So until it's strong enough, they can't let anyone know. Luckily, the 3 people who knew about last night have already been taken care of by Lamcam. Yeah, leave it to me. We're the ultimate dynamic duo, Gia says, puffing out her chest confidently, her eyes sparkling as she looks at the dragon. Like a family, Lamcam mutters to himself. But the mood is immediately shattered by Gia's dumb question. What? Family? So, which one of us is the dad? Lamcam is speechless. But arguing over who's the dragon's dad isn't important right now. He makes Gia tell him everything she knows about that shady study group. 3 days have passed since Lamcam's awakening, and others have started noticing something is up, specifically that the Lee has been missing for 3 days. One massive simp named Kong Ui has sent her 1,387 messages in 3 days without a single reply. She didn't show up for their evening study session. He waited outside her dorm all night, and she never appeared. All signs point to something bad happening to the Lee. But in this simp's mind, the worst-case scenario is that she's found another man. Just the thought of it makes him burst into a fountain of tears and snot. He throws himself onto his secretary, wailing, "What am I going to do, secretary? I can't live without the Lee. Get off me! If you get snot on my new jacket, I'll end you, President Kong Wee." The secretary shoves the simp off him with disgust. Then he begins his report. I've finished my investigation. Miss the Lee has taken a special interest in a certain guy lately. I'll go check him out. I believe his name is Lamcam. And just like that, an oblivious Lamcam is on their radar. Right now, though, he's dealing with his own problem, the baby dragon. At first, it looked like it was in a lot of pain. Lamcam thought it was sick, but it turns out the dragon just had to take a massive dump, gifting him a super stinky present. Gia sees this and just loses it laughing. From now on, you're officially a poop-scooping servant. Better get used to a life filled with crap. Hey, didn't you say we were a family? You're not getting out of this. You have to help with diaper duty. After it's done with its business, the dragon starts rolling around uncomfortably again. This time, Gia quickly guesses that it's hungry. Lamcam has to admit, this new parent life is rough. He has no idea what dragons even eat. Jia suggests they go to the school's logistics department to find an old-timer named Tudai, who used to be a beast trainer. He'd probably know what to feed a dragon. "You stay here and watch the dragon. I'll go get the food," Lamcam says, before heading out to find the guy. When he gets to the logistics department, he runs into a younger man training a beast. This is Mukjia, a janitor there. The moment Tudai's name is mentioned, a look of disgust crosses Mukjia's face. "Looking for Tudai? That old drunk is probably passed out somewhere. Whatever you need, just ask me." Lamcam gives him a skeptical look. He can't just say he has a dragon, so he vaguely asks what baby reptiles and baby birds eat, since a dragon is basically a mix of the two. Mukjia thinks for a moment, then declares that what they need most is protein, meaning meat is essential. Here, the logistics department even offers food prep services. Have a taste. He's so enthusiastic that he instantly transforms from a beast trainer into a street food vendor, grilling up some skewers. Lamcam tries a piece and the grilled meat melts in his mouth. Mukjia's skills are actually top-notch. Seeing his reaction, a crowd gathers to try some, and they all have the same verdict. Wow, it melts in your mouth. Among them, somehow, is Jia. Lamcam is a bit startled. "What are you doing here?" "I was hungry," she replies. "I was going to bring food back for you. Weren't you supposed to be watching the dragon?" "Yeah, he's in this bag." "We're cooked if the dragon gets discovered." "I know." "Then why did you bring him out?" "I was hungry." Their conversation goes in a circle, and Lamcam is at a loss for words. But Jia argues that he can't just keep the little guy cooped up in the room forever. It's perfectly reasonable for her to take it out for some fresh air, and she insists she's a responsible person. She then feeds the baby dragon a few pieces of meat, watching it devour them like a starving tiger. She's having the time of her life, while Lamcam is so worried he's about to have a panic attack. "All right, let's eat and get out of here. We're in big trouble if someone sees." Still, what Jia said wasn't entirely wrong. Lamcam can't stay in the dorm forever. He needs to find a safer, more suitable place for the dragon to grow up. Plus, that study group will come after him sooner or later. According to Jia, they're extremely dangerous, so he needs a plan. Just then, Lamcam flinches as some weirdo suddenly grabs him and starts sniffing him. It's none other than Kong Ui. Before Lamcam can say anything, the guy glares at him with hostile eyes and declares, "You smell like her perfume." As he speaks, he keeps sniffing Lamcam like a total creep. Jia turns and immediately recognizes Kong Ui as the president of that creepy study club. Meanwhile, Mukjia, who is busy grilling meat, turns to look at the three of them, a strange emotion flashing in his eyes. The moment he hears the word study group, Lamcam recalls what Jia told him in the dorm 3 days ago. The club's president is Kong Ui, and a lot of students have been disappearing recently because of them. They get stronger through direct supplementation, which means devouring other beastified people. Lamcam already saw how Jia almost became their next meal. According to her, Kong Ui has a powerful family background, which is why he can act so recklessly. He himself is also one of the strongest students in their year. Kong Ui's beastification ability isn't physical, but mental. He can achieve a certain level of control over his targets. Right now, despite being disgusted by the guy sniffing him, Lamcam finds himself frozen in place. This must be the control ability Jia mentioned. Just as his creepy hands start to reach into Lamcam's backpack, the baby dragon inside gives him a little zap. In that instant, Lamcam regains control of his body. There are too many people around to start a fight, so he decides to try and calm the guy down first. But remembering Jia's warning gives him the chills. Also, the most terrifying thing is, if he finds out the Li is dead, 10 of your lives wouldn't be enough to pay for it. He's her ultimate simp, she had said. If this guy is the Li's little puppy, then Lamcam thinks he knows how to handle him. "Oh, you must be President Kong Ui, right? I've heard the Li mention you." "You've spoken to the Li? Who the hell are you to call her by her first name?" The guy snaps back, the contempt in his eyes impossible to hide. Lamcam swallows his anger and continues his bluff. "The Li and I are in the same class. Since I can't beastify, I asked her to get me into the study group. But she said she couldn't make the decision herself, that she needed the president's approval." Just as Lamcam predicted, Kong Ui's attitude completely changes. His voice goes up an octave. "What? The Li said she needs my permission? For real?" "For real. She talks about you all the time," Lamcam replies, giving him a thumbs up for good measure. Kong Ui doesn't even question it. He's so ecstatic. convinced his goddess must be into him. He even grabs Lam Cam's hand, thanking him profusely. "Thank you! Thank you for telling me this! She must have been too shy to tell me herself. I approve. You're in the study group." He's so worked up that he turns and grabs Jiafi's shoulders, shaking her like a madman. "Did you hear that? The Lee loves me. The Lee loves me. You have to come to our wedding and the baby shower for our first kid too." Jiafi isn't the only victim. Kong Ui grabs anyone nearby, repeating the same crazy lines over and over. However, before Lam Cam and Jiafi can relax, they're hit with another penetrating gaze. You casually mention close contact with Miss the Lee to explain the scent, then expertly exploit the president's weakness to shift focus and clear suspicion. You're quite clever. The two turn around. They see the guy's eyes are full of suspicion, but he extends a hand to Lam Cam, introducing himself as the vice president of the study club, Doi Thursday. Lam Cam can tell at a glance this guy is much harder to deal with than Kong Ui, but he can't show any weakness, so he shakes his hand. Doi Thu gives him a meaningful smile. "You really can't, Beastify?" As he speaks, his grip on Lam Cam's hand tightens with crushing force. Our boy instantly knows this is a test. After his awakening, this level of force is nothing. But to avoid suspicion, he can't use his beastified strength. So, he puts on a pained expression and yelps. Jiafi had already given him the rundown on this guy with the glasses. Kong Ui's right-hand man is Doi Thu, and his beastification is a kangaroo. He has immense arm strength, is a total jerk, and most importantly, is a severe germaphobe. Knowing this weakness, Lam Cam had secretly smeared a bit of the baby dragon's waste on his hand before the handshake. At first, he didn't notice, but now that he's squeezing so hard, Doi Thu feels something squishy and gross all over his hand. He immediately lets go, looking at his soiled palm with disgust. "What is this?" "Oh, my bad. I'm just a humble servant who cleans up after my pet. It's only natural to have a little product on my hands," Lam Cam says innocently. Then he adds, "Oh, you've got a little on your left cheek, and your right cheek, and your forehead and chin too." Doi Thu's germophobia instantly kicks in, and he explodes with rage. He immediately shifts into his beast form, ready to teach Lam Cam a lesson. A powerful blow from his arm sends our boy flying, much to Jiafi's horror. Doi Thu, fuming, roars, "You filthy animal! You dare to mess with me!" Lam Cam hits the ground, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Jiafi's heart skips a beat and she rushes over to him. She wants to take him to the hospital, but Lam Cam whispers for her to make a scene and play the victim. She quickly catches on and plays along. Jiafi's greatest strength is her loud mouth. Soon, a crowd is drawn by her voice. "Blood! He's coughing up blood! How could you be so cruel to a fellow study group member? This is a moral outrage, a perversion of humanity. And you're bullying a poor soul who can't even beastify. Come and see, everyone. There's no justice in this world. The medical bills are going to be astronomical. We're just a couple of poor kids." As the crowd grows larger and everyone starts giving him dirty looks, Doi Thu finally can't take it anymore. He throws a wad of cash on the ground and yells, "Shut up! Here's your medical money, just take it," and storms off. Jiafi, having no shame, bends down and picks up every single bill. With the money in hand, she wants to take Lam Cam to the hospital. But when she turns around, he's perfectly fine. "I'm okay. The blood I spat out was just some chili sauce I got from the barbecue stand. Hey, we gotta make some money for the dragon's formula, right?" Jiafi's jaw drops. It was all an act, but his acting was so good, it was god tier. Even his best friend was completely fooled. But seriously, Lam Cam took a direct hit from that kangaroo punk and wasn't even injured. While not as strong as his dragon-awakened state, his body has clearly been enhanced. It's like his skin is now coated in a layer of dragon scales. Lam Cam counts the cash Doi Thu threw down and is very pleased. "That kangaroo is loaded! We made a good haul. Let's split it. This part is for the dragon's food for the week. This part is for some toys like a teething stick." He even sets aside a portion for Jiafi as a babysitting fee. "This is for you. Go buy yourself something to eat." The moment she sees the money, Jiafi's eyes light up. The two of them get up, ready to leave. But before they go, Lam Cam doesn't forget to glance back at Doi Thursday, and from a distance, it seems the guy is also secretly watching him, like a predator stalking its prey. Back at the school, amidst the usual noise, there's a sigh of frustration. The food problem is temporarily solved, but he still needs a safer, freer place. And a beast trainer, Where can I find someone trustworthy? Lam Cam rests his chin on his hand, lost in thought. I also need to name the little dragon Agu, Kaidu, or maybe Jiaobin. Suddenly, Gia screams, "Hey, little Cam!" Her shout snaps him back to reality. Huh? They both look at the little dragon, who's scrunching up its face in discomfort. The little dragon's really hot. The thermometer needle shoots up as she panics. 104 degrees! It has a fever! Gia is worried. He looks so uncomfortable. The school has an infirmary, but if we go there, the secret's out. Lam Cam furrows his brow, thinking, I have to find a way to cool him down. He imagines all the standard methods, a wet towel and a fever-reducing patch. However, the thermometer keeps rising, making her even more frantic. It's 140 degrees now. At this temperature, a normal creature would be cooked. He picks up the little dragon and holds it. The little guy is shivering uncontrollably, while Gia is in full panic mode. What do we do? What do we do? His eyes are determined. There's only one way. We have to find a doctor. A few minutes later, Gia is stunned. Are you sure you don't need me to come with you? Lam Cam explains calmly. Yeah, a bigger group will just attract more attention. I'll be more agile on my own. You should leave the dorm. If I wait a bit longer, the emergency room should be empty. What Lam Cam doesn't realize is that as he leaves, someone is already following him. From behind, Doi Thu stares intently at the bag in Lam Cam's hand. It's that bag again. Cut to the hospital, where someone is complaining loudly. This place is so dirty, it's disgusting. A dog named Ruby happily rushes outside. It runs towards Fam. The girl picks Ruby up and praises her. Good job, Ruby. You did great on your physical therapy today. Just then, some colleagues walk over and mock her. Fam, why waste money on that crippled mutt? We're just looking out for you. I've got a better breed here. I'll give you the family price. This really ticks Fam off. What do you boring, pragmatic old-timers know? With that, she turns and walks away, ignoring the two gossips behind her. Trying to be nice, and she treats it like a personal attack. That girl has a serious attitude problem. I heard she has no friends and her parents passed away early. Such a weirdo. Stay away from her. Just then, Lam Cam arrives behind them. A horrified voice cries out, What is this? That creepy doctor dared to prescribe such expensive medicine? She must be a quack. Let's file a complaint. Inside the room, Fam leans back in her chair with a heavy sigh. Probably no more patients today. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be a doctor. Suddenly, a hand grabs the doorknob from outside and opens it. A shadowy figure walks in while she's lost in thought. The noise quickly gets Fam's attention. Lam Cam, with his head down, asks, Doctor, can I ask you a personal question? Is that dog very important to you? Can I know why? She looks at him, surprised. Huh? Are you some kind of creep who likes to pry into people's private lives? Fam crosses her arms defiantly. I don't need to tell you that Ruby grew up with me and is my only family. I have no interest in telling you how Ruby lost her legs protecting me. And I refuse to shout like some teenager that my dream is to heal Ruby. Then she stands up and looks at Ruby. Unfortunately, I'm just a doctor nobody trusts, with no patience and no practice. I'm a failure. Lam Cam thinks to himself, You just told me everything. He hesitates for a moment. It's worth a shot. Finally, Lam Cam speaks up. Doctor, my pet is sick too. But before you examine him, can you promise to keep what you're about to see a secret? Hearing this, Fam is a bit startled. But she quickly regains her professional demeanor. There are many complex relationships between people and their beasts. A dedicated doctor will always respect that. I'll keep your secret. Lam Cam is taken aback and quickly clarifies, It's not what you think. He opens his backpack and skillfully reaches inside. To me, he's also the one who saved my life. Lam Cam holds the little dragon in his arms. His fever is almost 160 degrees. Please, you have to save him. Fam sees it and freezes on the spot. Her voice stammers, Is that a dragon? Knowing Fam is freaking out, Lam Cam just looks away silently. Fam bites her lip. She's a bit hesitant, but I have no experience treating dragons. They went extinct decades ago. They don't teach this in school. But she pulls herself together and turns around. But the library should still have old reference materials. I'll go look for them right now. Lam Cam looks up slightly. Fam, wearing glasses, says, Of course, if you're worried, you can come with me. He thinks to himself, No, This is a necessary test to see if she's trustworthy. Lam Cam sits down on the chair, thinking. This is also a good chance to deal with the kangaroo that's been tailing him since the dorm. Finally, he says, I'll wait here. I'm counting on you, doctor. Fam Fam is startled by his trust. Okay. With that, she quickly runs out. As she runs, Fam Fam keeps muttering to herself, It's a dragon. See, Ruby? It's a real dragon. Her eyes widen. This world is still full of wonders, Ruby. Just then, a pair of long legs and white pants and shoes walks by. The sight catches Fam Fam's attention. When she looks up, she sees Doi Thursday. She finds him suspicious and tries to step aside, but whichever way she moves, he blocks her path. Fam Fam, adjusting her glasses, asks sternly, Hey, you with the ugly V-neck? Are you trying to harass me? Doithu's voice is cold. Spill it. What's in that guy's bag? He recalls what happened earlier. I've figured it out. When I attacked him, a normal person would have used the bag to block, but he instinctively protected it. He's been cradling it so carefully. He must be hiding something in there, something possibly related to Miss the Lee's disappearance. Doithu wipes the corner of his mouth with a handkerchief. I'm very curious. Tell me what's in the bag. Fam refuses to answer. That's between a doctor and a patient. I can't tell you. Doithu places a hand on her shoulder, warning her, biology lesson for you. A kangaroo's arm strength is 6 to 10 times that of a human, and when beastified, it's even greater. He squeezes her shoulder and yells, Now, are you going to talk? Though it hurts, she has no intention of speaking. Are you an idiot? I already said I'm not talking. Doithu's grip tightens as he grits out each word. And so what? Fam yells back, You moron! Your whole family is full of morons! Seeing its owner in trouble, Ruby starts barking fiercely. Without a second thought, he stomps directly on the dog. Seeing this, she screams, Ruby! He snarls, applying more pressure with his foot, causing Ruby to yelp in pain. This dog is important to you, isn't it? So, are you going to talk now? The dog is in so much pain it can only let out a weak whimper. The whimpering stops, and Fam panics. Suddenly, a large rock flies in from a distance. Doithu quickly spots it. He immediately lets go of Fam and Ruby to dodge the projectile. A smirk plays on Doithu's lips. You little rat. So you finally decided to show yourself. Just then, Lam Cam stands protectively in front of Fam and Ruby. He says softly, Sorry, I got you involved in this. She reminds him, It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself just because someone else is an idiot. Lam Cam glances back. Actually, you could have just told him and saved yourself the trouble. Fam says with a detached look, Too bad I already promised to keep the secret. Lam Cam nods. Thank you. He touches his backpack. Can you please keep looking for the documents? His temperature is over 160 degrees. I'm really worried. Fam immediately turns and runs. Got it. Doithu isn't giving up. He throws a punch, yelling, Who said you could leave? Lam Cam quickly steps in, blocking the punch. His eyes are sharp as ice. Doithu pulls his hand back and snarls, So you can beastify after all. You've been faking it this whole time. No normal human could block my punch. But even so, he unleashes a powerful strike against Lam Cam's arm, making him flinch. A sinister smile spreads across his face. I can punch the same spot incredibly fast. The force accumulates. No matter how you block, you'll break. With that, Doithu unleashes a barrage of punches, but Lam Cam ducks and lands a solid punch right in his face. His voice is cold. Are you an idiot? I know more than just defense. He thinks to himself, he relies too much on his beastification, so his fundamentals are weak. This is an easy win. Just then, steam starts rising from the backpack. Doithu roars. So you were hiding a composite beast. Hand it over. A look of panic crosses Lam Cam's face. Not good. The little dragon's at its limit. He can't take much more. He turns and runs. I don't have time to waste on this kangaroo. I need to lure him to a secluded spot and finish this quick. Doithu yells, You think you can escape? He charges after him. President, I was right. That kid has a secret. He's most likely hiding a composite beast. I heard it. If so, it's very likely Miss the Lee has been harmed. On the other end of the line, the man listens to Doithu's frantic report. I'll tail him. Get here fast, just in case. Kong Ui stands with a giant dog. Bring, die, ngao. His eyes are indifferent. It's you again? Kong Ui says, "Hey, I'm in a hurry. Get out of my way." Mukjia's face is drenched in sweat as he coughs. "Bring Daingao." He glares at Daingao and yells, "Give him back to me." Kong Ui just runs off, with Mukjia desperately chasing after him. "Stop!" Inside the backpack, the little dragon is burning hot, breathing out clouds of steam. Lam Cam's eyes are fixed on it. It must be over 200 degrees now. Even his breath is scorching. Over in the library, Fam Fam points to each book on the shelf, muttering, "Dragon." She searches row after row. Dragon, nothing. Suddenly, a girl with long white hair walks by and bumps into Fam Fam. A book falls to the ground. She calls out, "Hey, you dropped your book." But the girl just coldly turns and walks away. Fam Fam is a bit surprised. Then her attention falls on the book, which has a picture of a dragon on the cover. Outside, Lam Cam seems to have realized something. Could it be? The book is opened. Fam Fam's eyes widen in surprise. "I can't believe it's a handwritten notebook." She points to the words on the page. "Found it." A memory flashes in his mind. Could it be? But just then, Doi Thu catches up. He sneers, "Out of steam? Get ready to die." Lam Cam turns, holding the steaming backpack. Inside, Fam Fam is still reading. Dragon whelps often experience high fevers during the full moon. Their skin temperature can exceed 300 degrees. This is because the glands in their bodies are beginning to develop. Outside, from behind, he swings his fist. "Die!" The backpack is gently tossed into the air. Doi Thu immediately snatches the backpack out of the air. He opens it and is stunned. It's empty. Doi Thu is completely baffled by this. Huh? Because just then, the little dragon emerges, perched majestically on Lam Cam's shoulder. Its whole body is glowing hot, emitting a white steam as if it's being cooked over a fire. Doi Thu stares at the little dragon. It opens its mouth, and two orbs of light like fire appear inside. Fam Fam is in awe. The dragon needs to periodically release the energy in its body. Lam Cam's eyes turn sharp. So, which one is it? Doi Thu screams, "What the hell is that?" Because at that moment, the little dragon unleashes a massive burst of flame. The force of the blast sends Doi Thu flying backwards. He's engulfed in flames, burning in agony. Doi Thu's screams echo through the area. The little dragon's temperature finally starts to drop. Doi Thu is now lying sprawled on the ground, completely charred, muttering, "Spare me, I'll keep it a secret." Lam Cam walks towards him. Only the dead know how to keep their mouths shut. Doi Thu stammers, "If I die, security will investigate. They'll take the dragon." Lam Cam's eyes gleam. "Then I'll just send them all to their graves." Night falls deeper over the hospital. Fam Fam looks around, searching. "Where did he go?" Lam Cam's voice calls out softly, "Doctor?" She spins around. "I found the cause. The dragon whelp's high fever is a normal phenomenon. It's a sign that it's about to..." He holds up a hand. "Yeah, his fever's gone down, doctor." Fam Fam is drenched in a cold sweat, startled. "That's great." Fam sinks to the ground. "That's amazing. That kangaroo won't be a problem anymore. But we're not out of the woods yet. I'll use this time to prepare." Lam Cam says gently, "Thank you, doctor." He then takes off his hat and mask, revealing his face. "Also, I'd like to hire you as the little dragon's private doctor." Fam Fam refuses. "I can't. I'm just a nobody that no one trusts. I'm not qualified to treat a dragon." A small smile plays on Lam Cam's lips. "You're the best doctor I've ever met." Hearing that, she's at a loss for words. Fam Fam quietly agrees, then reaches into her pocket. "Right, I found this in the library. A girl dropped it, but I couldn't catch up to her. I think it's better if you hold on to it until we find her." Lam Cam takes the book and is shocked. A handwritten dragon-rearing journal. He stares at the book. In the corner, there are 3 adorable heart drawings. Elsewhere, Mukjia is still relentlessly chasing Kong Ui. His face is bruised and bleeding, but he's still determined. "Give Daingao back to me." Kong Ui yawns and mocks him. "You lowlifes are so persistent. It's so annoying. He's been my dog for a long time now. Daingao, eat him." Daingao's eyes glint menacingly. It opens its massive jaws, lunging at the helpless Mukjia. Suddenly a voice calls out, "Wait, President Kong Ui." A drunk man approaches. This lowlife doesn't know any better. Can you spare his worthless life for this old man's sake? This is Tu Dai from the logistics department. Kong Ui shouts, "Old man!" The next day, Fam Fam leads the way, gesturing behind her. The little dragon is growing fast. The study group is also looking for you everywhere. You two can't stay in the dorms anymore. I have a secret place where you can hide for a while. This way. GFI raises her hands and cheers. Hooray! Ahead of them is a slightly ajar gate. The secret base. The abandoned old school building. Back at the abandoned school, a loud voice echoes. The whole study group is looking for you, little Cam. GFI wrinkles her brow. So, maybe you should just leave the school. Go raise the little dragon outside and then come back for revenge. Lam Cam crosses his arms and shakes his head. No, the school has all the necessary support facilities. If the little dragon gets a headache or a cold, we can get it treated quickly. Besides, the outside world is even more unpredictable. Carrying a dragon around out there could be even more dangerous. He looks down. Most importantly, he's still at school. Lam Cam states, also, both for me and for the little dragon, we need to go through battles to grow stronger. In short, this place, far from the main campus, is the most suitable spot for now. He pushes open a window, sending dust flying everywhere. How long has it been since anyone lived here? Lam Cam turns back with a smirk. Today is cleanup day. You have to help. Ready? The little dragon, excited by the large space, lets out a happy yelp. Lam Cam chuckles. As long as you're happy. He rolls up his sleeves. Let's do this. He and the little dragon zoom around the room, cleaning at super speed. Lam Cam even lies on the floor to play with it. Ambush. Afterwards, they both raise their hands and cheer. Number 1. Gia, Phi, and Phom Phom walk in from outside, carrying several bags of stuff. We're here. How's the cleaning going? But when they step inside and see the messy room, Gia Phi is exasperated. How about we help you clean? You take the little dragon and Ruby outside to play. Lam Cam is worried. You weren't followed, were you? She denies it. No way. I'm the king of stealth. After a while, everything is finally done. A cheerful shout rings out. All done cleaning. Let's party. Gia Phi, with her hands on her hips, giggles. To celebrate, here's a dish I specially made for you guys. My first time in the kitchen. I'm a culinary genius. Meanwhile, the table is covered in burnt food. After tasting her own cooking, Gia Phi has to admit, this is disgusting. She starts crying. I spent the whole afternoon on this. Never again. Lam Cam takes a bite and thinks about it. Actually, if you think about it, it's not that bad. It has a sweet aftertaste. Yeah, definitely sweet. Hearing this, Gia Phi is stunned. Really? Am I actually a culinary genius? She pouts. It's awful. What do you mean, sweet? He reminds her. You have to chew it 49 times. Gia Phi is confused. I don't need your pity, little Cam. I'll eat all the food I made myself. Lam Cam, chewing voraciously, tells her, leave some for me. The little dragon likes it too. She frowns. He likes it, then eat up. Fam Fam, standing off to the side, watches this scene with a deadpan expression. She looks at Ruby. Are they showing off their affection? Kill them. Back at Lam Cam's old dorm, someone rushes in and calls out, President. The man reports, no news on Doi Thursday. Lam Cam is also missing. He skipped class for 2 weeks now. A tear falls on a photo of a beautiful girl. He stole the woman I love most. Kong Ui sobs. Now he's taken the man I trust most. I must have my revenge for love. Teacher Bao Bao, please grant me permission. The man sits silently at his desk. His hand moves a pen, drawing line after line on the paper. The man's voice is deep. Are you sure that student is secretly raising a composite beast? He nods. Yes, Doi Thu is the most honest person I know. Bao Bao is sinister. Then use all your resources to find it. Kong Ui wipes away a tear. Understood. Teacher Bao Bao. His eyes are bloodshot with killing intent. Even if I have to dig 3 feet under, I will find him. Elsewhere, a ball is tossed into the air. Lam Cam commands, go fetch. The little dragon immediately dashes off. The pages of the book are turned again and again. He observes, the little dragon will start learning to fly at around 2 months old with the guidance of a beast tamer. So I still need a beast tamer. Lam Cam's eyes light up. Learning to fly, huh? His excitement is palpable. I can't wait. Suddenly, a loud thud snaps Lam Cam back to the present. He runs off, yelling, "Little dragon!" The little dragon is now facing off against a rat, and Lamb Cam can't stop shouting, "A rat!" He stands there silently, watching the two beasts fight. Just as it's about to pounce, Lamb Cam flicks a stone, hitting the rat in the eye and popping it out. The rat lies motionless. That's a huge rat. He glances to the side. They're here. Suddenly, rats appear from every nook and cranny. Rats! Why are there so many rats at school lately? Everyone is panicking. Those rats are all being controlled. What are they trying to do? Rats swarm the outside of the dorm. Is it the study group? No wonder so many people have been disappearing lately. Better just pretend I don't see anything. The squeaking of rats rings incessantly in Mukjia's ears. He calls out in a cold voice, "Old man." Tudai asks, "Kid, where are you going again? Last time, I had to swallow my pride to save your life." He mutters, "I didn't adopt you just so you could keep trying to get yourself killed." Mukjia yells, "Old man, I have to go. I have to get Dainjiao back." Tudai shouts back, "He's just an animal." He continues to deny it. "He's not just an animal. He was the first pet beast I ever tamed." The old man throws his bottle to the ground, cursing, "Fool! Still acting like a brat with me? Today, I'm going to break your legs on behalf of your parents." But Mukjia refuses to back down and gets into a fighting stance. Tudai flashes a sinister grin, remembering the beatdown he got from the old man, who still complained he was going easy on him. After saying his piece, he lets out a heavy, alcohol-laced breath. And just like that, before the fight even starts, he's passed out on the ground. Mukjia clenches his rotten teeth. What a useless old drunk. Meanwhile, Tudai is just dreaming away on the floor. Back at the abandoned school, a loud scream cuts through the air. "This is bad, Tukam." Jiafai playfully hangs on Tulong, teasing, "Ever since you quit, I've been at the bottom of the class, so I decided to ditch too. I'm sleeping here tonight." Lamcam immediately shuts it down. "No way. This place could turn into a war zone at any second. Get back home now." Before he can finish, he sees her reading a book while hugging Tulong. Kim Lien gently says, "Dailan, time for your medicine," but he just shouts, "Go home, now!" Gia refuses to leave. Outside, Fam and Ruby arrive, hearing the argument inside. "I'm sleepy." "Good night, Tukam. It's only 7 p.m. This is my bed. Get your leg off me." And so the two of them start wrestling on the bed. Fam just lets out an awkward little laugh. Lamcam freezes instantly. She turns away. "I'll come back in 10 minutes. The two inside immediately wave her back, shouting, "Hey!" Fam teases them. "Ah, to be young again? I get it." They both snap back. "You don't get a damn thing." She points a finger. "Just so you know, intercourse also increases the rate of beastification. There are 1,000 ways to do it, but the basic principle is establishing a species link. Don't lecture us right now." Lamcam yells back, "A lot of people use it to enhance their own cultivation." She holds up a camera. "Can I record this for research purposes?" He screams, "You're a total pervert." Fam keeps teasing, "A dorm room, a summer night. This is going to be a long movie for you two." Lamcam is fuming. "Stop talking nonsense. Both of you, get out of here now." But in the end, all three of them just end up falling asleep in the same spot. Our boy feels defeated. This is more trouble than I thought. His vision slowly blurs as he drifts off to sleep. Suddenly, the squeaking of rats outside grows louder and more frequent. Lamcam's eyes snap open. He bolts upright, the noise instantly grabbing his full attention. Lamcam looks to his side and sees an empty spot. What's that sound? Giafai also wakes up, her face still groggy with sleep. She's just coming back from the bathroom, rubbing her stomach. Drank too much water. Giafai strolls along, completely oblivious to the rat creeping up behind her. Suddenly, the lights flicker and die, and only then does she realize something's wrong. Our boy sprints towards her from a distance, yelling, "Giafai! Behind you!" Giafai glances over her shoulder. A single rat is charging straight for them. She scoffs, "It's just one rat. Why so jumpy, Tukam?" He yells, "Something's not right." Just then, the chorus of rat squeals becomes a deafening, chaotic swarm. Cracks begin to spread across the ceiling. Kongwee's eyes glow with malice. This is a tidal wave of rats. They pour down from the ceiling like a disgusting, furry rain. A blood-curdling scream echoes through the abandoned school. Lam, Cam, and Giafi are flailing around, completely overwhelmed. So gross. This is your fault, you idiot. She can't stop throwing up. Hey, this is even more disgusting. I'm definitely not letting him get away with this, Lamcam shouts. You're a cat, aren't you? Go catch some mice. He calls out, Too Long, I'm coming. Hearing his name, Too Long immediately leaps into action. It zips right through the swarm of rats. Lamcam is stunned. He can fly now. Just then, the wall near Too Long begins to crack apart. A wave of rats falls from above, burying Too Long completely. Lamcam freezes, his eyes wide with shock. GFI grabs his arm, pulling him back. They stare at Too Long, trapped in the center of the rat swarm. There are too many! We can't get through! Our boy's eyes are shot with blood as he thinks, the only way is to use that technique. But just as he's about to bite down, Lamcam stops himself. No, I can only use this once. Now's not the time. He lifts his head and yells, Hey kid, stop being a wimp! They're just a bunch of rats. Lamcam shouts at the trapped Too Long, You have more teeth than them. Your claws are sharper. You're the lord of all creatures. Hearing this, its eyes widen as if it just had an epiphany. In the next moment, Too Long opens its mouth and unleashes a mighty roar. In the blink of an eye, the swarm of rats surrounding it scatters in terror. Seeing it collapse, Lamcam rushes to its side. The rats are scattered. Now's our chance. That roar was insane. He scoops up Too Long, praising it. Good job, little guy. You were amazing. GFE looks around and shouts a warning. Hey, Toucam, they're coming back. Lamcam immediately looks up at the ceiling. We're climbing through that hole to the 3rd floor. After a struggle, his hand grips the edge of the floor above. As soon as she gets to the 3rd floor, GFI collapses, gasping for air. When I get home, I'm taking 100 baths. Suddenly, her eyes widen in horror. We forgot about Dr. Pham. The two of them peek down through the hole, shouting, Dr. Pham, are you still alive? Nearby, Pham is trembling, clutching one end of a bedsheet. Alive, but her whole body shakes as she looks down at the sea of rats waiting below, about to be dead. GFE immediately closes her eyes and starts praying. She was a good doctor. Lamcam sees this and yells, Hey! He looks her dead in the eye. You're faster. Use this chance to run outside and get help. I'll save Dr. Pham. Lamcam's gaze sharpens, and then I'll deal with this whole study group problem for good. He looks straight at GFI, calmly reminding her, But don't call security. Go straight to the school's board of directors. Hearing this, she stands up and declares, For Too Long, watch me work. In a flash, GFE is already on a tree branch outside the building. She quickly leaps from branch to branch, disappearing into the distance. Back in the room, Lamcam looks down at Too Long. All right, they weren't after GFI. She's safe once she's outside. He pulls the little guy into a tight hug and stands up. You were incredible tonight. Go ahead and rest. Leave the rest to me. Let's go. A simple map of the area appears in his mind. The floor below is swarming with rats. How do I get to Dr. Pham? I'll just have to go down first and figure it out from there. He deftly dodges the massive holes in the floor, charging straight for the staircase. Suddenly, a shadow flashes up through the stairwell, heading right for him. Lamcam skids to a halt. It's Dai-Ngao, leaping up from below. Our boy immediately slams his hand on the ground to brake. Lamcam's brow furrows. That's a huge dog. It's blocking the entire path. Dai-Ngao, completely oblivious, drools as it stares him down. Its eyes gleam as it lunges forward. Lamcam narrows his eyes, staring it down. I've got it. Then he leaps high into the air. I've found a way to reach Dr. Pham. Mid-air, Lamcam spins around. The floor is super weak from the weight of all those rats. You came at the perfect time. His eyes flash as he stomps down hard on Dai-Ngao's back. Time for you to be a hero, big guy. Lamcam puts all his weight into it, causing the massive dog to smash through the 3rd floor and crash all the way down to the 1st. Standing on Dai-Ngao's back, our boy scans the area. The rats are all swarming the big dog. Perfect. As the rats close in to bite, it lets out a massive roar and starts tearing into the swarm. In the next room, Pham is trembling. My hand is stuck. Lamcam kicks open the window and bursts in. Dr. Pham, I'm here. Just then, Kongui appears at the end of the hall. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Hearing the voice, Dai-Ngao stops and looks over. In the next moment, Mukjia also calls out to it. Dai-Ngao! He walks forward quickly, holding a leash. Snap out of it. Lamb Cam hears the voice and turns his head. The butcher guy, wait, no, the logistics guy. His eyes widen in surprise. Too many characters are showing up at once. Lamb Cam stares outside and calls out, Dr. Pham, I think it'd be safer for you to just hang there a little longer. In a flashback, a young Mukjia, his face covered in bruises, bows his head as tears well up in his eyes. Nearby, Tudai is bowing to Kong Ui's group, begging, Kids will be kids. Fighting is normal. They were just playing. But one of them looks down and snaps, Who's playing with you? Look at what he did to my son! The old man can only force a smile and plead, The boy grew up without a mother's guidance. Please, don't hold it against a child. Hearing this, Mukjia explodes. They called my parents low-class scum and animals first. That's why I hit them. You're the low-class ones. Kongui's father instantly starts to beastify, roaring, Hey, you little brat! With a stern face, Tudai turns and slaps Mukjia hard. You little punk, you've got some nerve. He drops to his knees, kowtowing repeatedly. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'll be sure to teach him a proper lesson. The old man coldly snaps, Get lost! Mukjia screams from behind, Why are you kneeling? Get up, old man! In the next moment, Kongui's dad wraps a tentacle around the boy's head. This place exists for beastmen. The man's eyes bulge as he gets right in Mukjia's face. You normals who can't beastify were born to serve us. That's right, you're no different from the cats and dogs around here. Just animals. Kongui's dad swings the tentacle and throws Mukjia into a cage. Throw him in the pen! Let him learn his place. With tears in his eyes, the boy grips the iron bars and screams, Let me out! In the endless darkness, Mukjia feels hundreds, thousands of eyes staring at him. He quickly turns around. Behind him are dozens of dogs of all different breeds, all watching him intently. Dying Ngao, with a bone in its mouth, takes a step. It slowly walks towards him. It pants softly and gently drops the bone on the ground. The corners of Dying Ngao's eyes curve up as if it's smiling. Mukjia looks over in astonishment. Then he reaches out and picks up the bone from the ground. I'll show all of you. The image of his younger self overlaps with his present form. Even if we can't beastify, we still have our pride. A younger, confused Dying Ngao tilts its head, looking up at him. Its present self opens its mouth and barks at Mukjia. In Dying Ngao's eyes, an image flashes of the two of them playing together as kids. Just then, Kongui's eyes transform, his pupils doubling. Hey, what do you think you're doing? His silhouette appears, laughing loudly. That dog's not bad. I want it. In the next moment, Mukjia is dragged away, separated from Dying Ngao. Kong Ui, with paint-stained hands, looks at the bone he drew on its head. So cute. I drew your favorite bone for you. He grins at his artwork on the other dogs around him. Now, let's see which one of you can gnaw off these bones first. Back in the present, Mukjia stands frozen as Dying Ngao bares its sharp teeth and lunges at him. Right as it's about to bite, Lamb Cam flashes in, grabbing Mukjia and dodging out of the way. He carries Mukjia a safe distance away. Lamb Cam puts a hand on the ground to steady himself. Hey, you planning to talk the enemy to death? In a school where cannibalism is easily covered up, he stands up, facing Dying Ngao. Fists and claws are the only truth. Lamb Cam looks forward with a calm expression. I've got his number. Those clowns in the study group are all talk, relying entirely on their beastification. Kongui flashes a grin. Getting cocky a little early, aren't you? You're officially kicked out of the group. Our boy isn't fazed in the slightest. What a shame, President Kong. But before we part ways, how about you tell me who the advisor for our little group is? It's hard to believe you guys could cover up the whole eating people for power thing by yourselves. The fraud just scoffs. You think you're worthy of knowing that? Lamb Cam looks him dead in the eye. You're right. I should have just beaten you into submission before asking. In the next instant, he bites down hard on the back of his own hand. Bring it on. Images flash through Lamb Cam's mind, establishing the link with the dragon, Tulong's growth directly affecting his own abilities. Last time Tulong had a fever and breathed fire, I felt a corresponding power surge in my own body. A red light glows from the back of his hand. Even if I can only use this once, it's more than enough to handle this situation. In the pitch-black space, a cold voice rings out. Storm. Lamb Cam hears the voice and looks at the holes in the wall. He's startled and screams in horror. Just as he and Mukjia look over, dozens of sharp needles pierce through the wall, flying towards them. Watch out! Lam Cam steps in front, taking the full brunt of the needles all over his body. 5 minutes earlier, Gia was leaping through the forest when she suddenly stopped with a confused sound. She sees a dark figure just ahead and yells out, "Hey, you! There's big trouble. You need to report this to the board of directors." "Sir, are you a teacher?" Gia shouts excitedly, "Thank goodness!" Bao Bao tilts his head and replies with a faint smile, "I was just on my way there." Suddenly, Gia eyes widen in disbelief. Bao Bao quickly arrives outside the school building. His gaze pierces through the wall, locking onto Lam Cam. "Is that it? In the bag? It looks strange. What kind of hybrid beast is it?" From a nearby bee, Bao Bao's voice echoes, "Rainstorm." Red needles shoot towards Lam Cam's silhouette. Our boy is hit by the needles, looking over in shock as he coughs. Mukjia at his side immediately thanks him. "Thanks for saving my life." Kongui looks over with a smug grin. "Teacher Bao Bao, I didn't expect you to intervene personally." Bao Bao smiles faintly. To be young, risking your life for a friend, it's so touching." Lam Cam grits his teeth and asks, "Teacher, it was you? An insect-type beastman?" The man floats in midair. "Is that the hybrid beast you kids have been hiding in that bag?" Our boy looks up at Bao Bao and challenges him, "You're a teacher. Why would you support a study group like this? Aren't you afraid of an investigation?" The man laughs, raising his poison stingers. "My boy, don't be so naive. What kind of school is this? Long Sam Beastification School. Our core philosophy is to cast aside human form and return to the way of the beast." Bao Bao's voice echoes throughout the area. "Do you really think the higher-ups care about a few weaklings getting eaten? The world only sings praises of the mighty lion." Lam Cam falls silent, thinking, as the man continues, "And the lion? By eating meat, it assimilated the rabbit's alertness. By eating meat, it assimilated the antelope's agility. By eating meat, it assimilated the fox's cunning. Our esophagus leads to the truth of the world." Bao Bao continues his lecture nonchalantly. By devouring, the three-headed dog Cerberus was born. Cthulhu and other such perfect, true beings. His whole body trembles with excitement as he speaks. "I have personally witnessed the being that stands at the supreme pinnacle of hybrid beasts. With just one look, I knew it was the truth of the universe, the black tortoise, Xuanwu." Suddenly, Bao Bao stops, his voice turning deep and thoughtful. His wings flutter gently. "I'm not targeting you personally, boy. It's just that you are too lowly and weak. You are not worthy of possessing a hybrid beast." Bao Bao steps through the crumbling wall, hand it over obediently, and I'll give you a painless end. Lam Cam hears this and roars back, "You piece of trash!" A small smirk plays on the man's lips. "I have many ways to punish naughty students. You know, my stingers are highly venomous." Bao Bao watches the poison spread through Lam Cam's body. "You're already dead." Our boy looks down, feeling the effects. He curses internally. Neurotoxin insect types are a real pain. In the next moment, Lam Cam's eyes flash with the bright red light of fire. The poison needles on his body are incinerated. This is the only way. Seeing this, Bao Bao cries out in shock. Flames erupt all over our boy's body. Mukjia's jaw drops. "He's on fire!" Fam, still clinging to the sheet, also yells, "Is the high temperature neutralizing the toxin?" Kong Ui roars in anger. "Don't even think about beastifying. Daingao, now's your chance. Tear him apart." Hearing the command, its eyes immediately flash with a yellow light. Just as it's about to chomp down, Lam Cam grabs Dainao's jaws with both hands and pries them open. Pinned by our boy's hands, it lets out a series of guttural growls. Lam Cam activates his Dragon Flame mode. Sorry about this, Dai Niao. With a powerful shout, he executes a perfect shoulder throw, slamming the massive beast onto its back. Lam Cam's eyes widen as he feels the power. The Dragon Flame makes every cell in my body incredibly agile. My physical strength must have jumped by dozens of times, but it feels like I can only maintain this for a limited time. He hurls Daingao with immense force, sending it flying through several walls. Bao Bao, Kong Ui, and Mukjia all stare in utter disbelief. Lam Cam knows he only has 45 seconds of this power. He yells, "Logistics guy, I don't have time to help you anymore. You're on your own over there." Hearing this, Mukjia immediately charges towards Kong Ui. Got it! Our boy also turns and attacks Bao Bao, who is standing nearby. Kong Ui immediately orders the rat swarm to attack. Go! Mukjia cracks his whip, effortlessly swatting them away. Fam, dangling in midair, shouts instructions. Hey, black shirt! The essence of beastification is creating a bond with an animal. His ability is a form of mind control. It looks like he uses abuse to instill fear in animals, then controls them through that fear. If you can break his concentration, Dying Now might regain its senses. That's right, attack him directly. He himself is probably very weak. While still swatting away rats, he glances back and yells, "You have to tell me how to break his concentration." Konghui runs over to Dying Now and starts kicking it relentlessly. "Stupid dog! Wake up! Wake up!" He looks nervously at Mukjia, who is steadily getting closer. Finally, Konghui raises the blade in his hand and thrusts it down with all his might. "Wake up!" Mukjia sees this and sprints forward in a panic. "Stop!" He kicks out towards him. His mouth... Dying Zhao's eyes flash yellow as it hears Konghui's voice. "Open your eyes." It opens its massive jaws and uses its paws to slam Mukjia to the ground. Dying Now opens its mouth wide and lunges at him. Mukjia's eyes widen in horror as it bites down hard on his shoulder. "Dying Zhao!" In its yellow eyes, his reflection pleads, "Dying Now, don't!" Konghui taunts him excitedly. How does it feel? To be killed by the dog you raised since it was a puppy? A huge, twisted grin spreads across his entire face. It's an absolutely grotesque sight. Mukjia's body hits the fan control switch. "Dying Now, snap out of it!" The fan blades, wrapped in the sheet Fam is holding, slowly start to move. Konghui looks over, confused, as he watches her spin around. Fam is helplessly rotating with the fan blades. In the next moment, the sheet can no longer hold. It finally tears, sending both her and Ruby plummeting down. Fam face plants on the floor, while Ruby lands right on Konghui's head. Then, Ruby relaxes and lets loose a stream of pee all over his face. Fam looks up in shock. Dying Now also snaps out of the mind control. Konghui, absolutely furious, throws Ruby onto the floor. "You damn animal!" His face is a mask of fury as he raises his foot to stomp on it. "Stupid dog!" Fam sees Konghui about to crush it and screams in terror, "Ruby!" Suddenly, he's hit by a thrown bone and freezes. Mukjia's voice rings out, "Hey, where's your attention at?" Konghui's eyes widen as the bone flies past his face. He opens his mouth and gives a command, "Dying Now, fetch the bone." Just like when it was a puppy, Dying Now opens its mouth and lunges at Konghui. The frog freezes on the spot, a nervous twitch at the corner of his mouth. It gently brushes past Konghui, taking his head with it. Seeing this, Mukjia lies on the ground, breathing heavily. Dying Now quickly drops Konghui's head and picks up its bone. Ruby lies motionless, covered in blood. Fam, her face a mask of horror, rushes towards it. "Ruby!" On the other side of the battle, Bao quickly escapes from the large hole in the wall, dodging an attack. Lamb Cam, his eyes glowing red, swings a fist at the teacher. Bao's face contorts into a twisted smile. A fire-type beast fusion? A firebird? A lava rat? In the forest, Lamb Cam weaves and dodges through a rain of poison needles from above. He quickly gains momentum and launches an attack at Bao in midair. The attack causes the red bag to fall. Lamb Cam immediately reaches for the bag, but the teacher spins around and fires more poison needles. The needles pierce his outstretched arm. Bao grins, using his own stinger to snag the bag. Before he can celebrate, Lamb Cam strikes from behind, hitting the stinger and making it drop the bag. Our boy immediately lunges for the falling bag. With his other hand, Lamb Cam forcefully throws Bao aside. A student runs out from the trees. "Teacher, let me carry you!" As he falls, a tentacle from his severed arm shoots out, pierces the student's chest, and begins to drain him. Then, Bao swings his arm, flinging the student's body at Lamb Cam. Our boy immediately raises his hands, quickly gathering flames. Lamb Cam stomps on Bao's thigh, pinning him down. He relentlessly attacks, sending the teacher plummeting downwards, unable to fight back. Bao opens his mouth, planning to launch a sneak attack with 3 poisoned stingers from his tongue. Lamb Cam grabs the man's tongue with both hands and yanks it out with incredible force. He throws him with such power that Bao spins wildly in midair. Next, Lamb Cam sends him crashing down into the dense forest below. Bao's body hits the ground with immense force, leaving a large crater. Our boy immediately descends from above. Lamcam's flaming hand flies towards the teacher's face. In the final 13 seconds of the countdown, a powerful pillar of fire engulfs both of them, shooting high into the sky. As soon as the countdown ends, Lamcam's body immediately reverts to its normal form. He lets out a heavy, ragged breath. He watches as Bao Bao's tongue begins to twitch. Then, it stabs towards his own chest. It's over. In the next moment, the man lets out an even more sinister laugh. Bao Bao gets up on one knee, and Lamcam quickly retreats to create distance. The man looks at the bag containing Long falling to the ground. Almost lost my life. I can't believe I lost to a student. What kind of hybrid beast is that, anyway? I'm getting more and more curious. Our boy grits his teeth and curses internally. Damn it, he survived a hit like that? The dragon flame is completely spent. Lamcam narrows his eyes, calculating. But he doesn't know I'm out of power. Right now, he thinks he's won. I have to use that to my advantage. Plus, he's obsessed with the hybrid beast. What do I do? Think, Lamcam, think. The cells on Bao Bao's severed arm begin to churn. I have only one final request. His eyes narrow, staring intently at Lamcam. Let me see what kind of hybrid beast defeated me. Our boy gasps in horror as the bag falls right in front of him. Lamcam's eyes widen as he quickly catches it. Long pokes its head out and squeaks. Our boy's eyes go wide, and Bao Bao asks in disbelief, "A dragon?" Bao Bao stares at the docile Long. His voice trembles. What is that? He stares with wide eyes, muttering, "A dragon? The king of all beasts, one of the four symbols, on par with Xuanwu? A dragon?" A second later, he contradicts himself. No, this is an existence even nobler than Xuanwu. A baby dragon that just hatched not long ago. Bao Bao kneels on the ground, looking up in awe. I lost to that? Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Lamcam narrows his eyes, trying to think of a plan. He asks, "Do you have any last words, teacher?" The man holds up a hand. "Let me touch it, just once. If I can just touch it once, I'll die willingly." Hearing this, our boy leans back and curses internally, "You damn pervert." Then he asks, "Why should I trust you?" A tongue immediately darts out. Bao Bao reveals, "This is my life force. I am a parasite. All my power comes from this proboscis. Destroy it, and you can kill me. I offer it to you. I am willing to completely submit to the dragon." Lamcam suddenly grabs the tongue tightly. Bao Bao screams in agony, reeling back. Our boy frowns, thinking to himself, the teacher isn't lying. This thing really can kill him. The previous fight proved that. Lamcam feels the saliva in his hand and grimaces. But man, holding this thing is disgusting. He calls out, "Hey teacher, I can't grant your dying wish. Did you kill a cat girl on your way here?" Bao Bao breaks out in a cold sweat, stammering, "A cat girl? No, she was too weak. I had no interest. I just put her to sleep." And indeed, GFI is currently sleeping peacefully in a corner of the forest. Lamcam glares at him and yells, "Really?" He lets go of the tongue and demands, "Take me to her now." Not long after, calls echo through the dark night. "Ruby! Ruby!" The chaos at the old school building ended in less than 15 minutes. Just as Lamcam hoped, it didn't cause a major disturbance. GFE was unharmed. Her weakness had saved her life. As for what to do with Bao Bao, our boy decided to take a huge risk. First, a dead teacher would attract way too much attention, and the risk of Long being exposed would skyrocket. Second, the man was willing to take full responsibility. The incident of multiple deaths caused by Kongui's study group was reported to the school leadership, concealing the dragon's existence. Thus, Lamcam spared Bao Bao's life and made a deal. The man kept his promise, reporting that the study group had blindly pursued beastification rates and ended up slaughtering each other. 3 days later, at a large hospital, Fam turns her head. "Oh, you're all here." They walk over, and Lamcam asks worriedly, "How's Ruby?" Right now, Ruby is in the emergency room, hooked up to a mess of wires. She watches through the glass window, explaining, "She's not out of the woods yet. For now, we can only keep her stable with machines. She needs more specialized treatment, but the school won't bother the research institute for a normal little dog." Fam pauses for a second, then continues, "But Ruby will survive." She looks down, her voice firm. "No matter the cost, I will make sure Ruby lives." Jia Fi, Lam Cam, and Mook Jia could only remain silent for a moment. Later, they walk down the hospital corridor. Jia Fi puts her hands on her hips, so there's nothing we can do? Suddenly, he gets an idea. Lam Cam holds out his hand. Hey guys, got any money? I'll pay you back later. A moment later, he stares down at 2 coins in his palm, asking hesitantly, This is all you have? Lam Cam whispers to them, We're broke. Like, seriously broke. He quickly places the coins on the reception desk. Excuse me, please put this towards Ruby's hospital bill. The nurse is baffled. Is this all? Lam Cam's face is deadpan as he thinks, We're all a bunch of broke losers. Chances are, Dr. Pham Pham isn't much better off. He thinks about the hospital with determination. Ruby's medical bills are insane. Raising a dragon is also super expensive. I need to find a way to make money. A lot of money. Time passes at the hospital. A little while later, Lam Cam hands his backpack to Jia Fi. Look after Tu Long for me. I have to go out for a bit. Maybe an hour. She takes the bag and watches him leave, asking, Huh? Where are you going? Lam Cam walks down the long, empty corridor. He enters the elevator alone. When it reaches his floor, it dings. Lam Cam quietly approaches a small room. The nurse inside notices someone has arrived, pulls back the curtain, and says, I'm here. The doctors inside report body temperature 37.5, heart rate 95, blood pressure 90/60. Everything is normal. Lam Cam says confidently, I'm ready. The surgical light flares to life. Someone gives the order to prepare the blood transfusion. Our boy immediately lies down on the adjacent bed while the doctors and nurses prepare their equipment. Lam Cam slowly turns his head to look at the person beside him. He murmurs, I've gotten a little more confident lately, Dad. I'm going to become the strongest. Lam Cam says softly, Dad, as his blood is transfused into his father. The scene shifts to an area with beautiful natural scenery. Someone's voice narrates, Wow, what an amazing place. The mountain in front blocks the view from the school campus. The open ground can be used for training, and the hut looks really comfortable. The coral formations here are perfect for hiding, and if we're discovered, we can escape by water. The place teacher Bao Bao recommended is seriously perfect. Jia Fi rests her chin on her hand, praising, He must be a saint. Lam Cam glances over and throws cold water on her parade. He's just a pervert. Muk Jia looks around suspiciously. This place is unreasonably spacious. Then he smirks and proposes, All right, to repay you and the old man for saving me, I'll use everything I've learned in my life to train your pet. By the way, what is your pet? Tu Long quickly appears in front of him, making Muk Jia's eyes bulge out. Holy crap! He wipes the sweat from his face and mumbles, So it's a dragon. Don't think I'll give it special treatment just because of that. A second later, Muk Jia is decked out in a full training outfit, shouting, All right, let's begin. Lam Cam just sighs, That's really not necessary. He exclaims in surprise, Flying? You're trying to develop Tu Long's flight skills? Muk Jia thoughtfully analyzes the situation. From what you told me, Tu Long only flew that night because it was an emergency, so you can't say it's mastered it. Natural creatures hate flying because it consumes a lot of energy. We need to guide it patiently. He suggests a method. Before we do that, I recommend you establish a more basic connection with Tu Long first. Let's get it to respond to your whistle. Lam Cam asks curiously, How do I do that? Muk Jia holds up a finger to explain. First, every time you feed it, you have to whistle a specific rhythm. Our boy immediately follows his instructions, letting Tu Long sit on his hand, whistling, and then feeding it. The trainer calculates the next step. After a certain number of repetitions, even without food, Tu Long will respond to your whistle. Muk Jia has them start at 100 meters apart, then 1,000, gradually increasing the distance. Lam Cam runs while whistling, and Tu Long excitedly follows. Muk Jia cheers them on. We can go a little further. Then the whistle changes direction, and Tu Long follows. He shouts encouragement, A little further, just a little bit more. Lam Cam is running so hard he's drenched in sweat, but he exclaims happily, Tu Long can still hear me. Muk Jia raises his hand, cheering, Further, even further. Just then, Jia Fi crosses her arms and asks, Hey, are you guys planning to eat or what? Not long after, Lam Cam is passed out at a desk, drool dripping from his mouth. The teacher sees this and calls out, Hey, Lam Cam, is my class really that boring? He roars, You skip class for a month, And the first day you're back, you're sleeping? Get up! Our boy jolts awake, wiping his mouth. I'm sorry, teacher. I've been training really hard lately. The teacher looks at Lamcam with open contempt. Training? What could a bottom-of-the-class kid like you possibly be training? How to sleep? The other students erupt in laughter. He demands, explain the definition of beastification to me. If you can't answer, you'll regret it. Our boy scratches his head awkwardly. Beastification. After hiding for over a month, Long finally has a relatively stable place to live. To avoid getting expelled for skipping too much, Lamcam has to show his face in class sometimes. He won't leave the school, and he has to become the strongest. A month ago, this was just a pipe dream for Lamcam, but now he sees a glimmer of hope. Another reason he can't keep hiding is that he needs to find a way to pay for Ruby's medical bills and Long's, dragon milk money. That's the most pressing issue right now. Then, Lamcam answers, it's based on the bond between humans and beasts. It includes emotional and genetic links, allowing one to gain the power of a beast through that connection. Once a person acquires a beastification ability, they cannot absorb the ability of any other beast species. And as for increasing the beastification rate, aside from personal training, there are still many unknowns. The teacher is stunned. He actually got it all right. The students turn to look at him in surprise. One of them thinks, knowing the theory doesn't mean anything. Lamcam continues to lecture, and when the beastification rate reaches 50%, it will. Meanwhile, a figure glides past the classroom door. His footstep sends out ripples of sound. Just from that, the entire place begins to shake violently. The students and our boy are completely confused. One asks, was that an earthquake? As the figure continues to stride down the hallway, the glowing badge on his chest catches everyone's eye. That badge, a student recognizes it instantly. It's the badge of the Elite Zone. The guy behind him asks, the Elite Zone? He grits his teeth and explains, you country bumpkin who's never stepped outside this campus. Haven't you realized our beastification rates here never exceed 15%? That's because we're in the trash tier campus. There's a whole different world above us. That's the Elite Zone, a place filled with monsters whose beastification rates are over 50%. The students watch the two figures walk away, whispering amongst themselves, why are they here? The two quietly enter a room. He pushes open the classroom door. Pardon the intrusion. Daomon adds with a contemptuous smile, I need 3 pieces of prey. The teacher jolts, recognizing them. Students from the Elite Zone. The whole class stares at the two newcomers. Is that Daomon? Was that oppressive aura coming from him? The guy with a beastification rate over 50%, the youngest record holder? The shining badge on Talmon's chest immediately catches Lamcam's attention. That badge, the teacher is sweating bullets. Young Master Dao, what brings you here? The boy massages his temples, annoyed. Don't make me repeat myself. I need 3 pieces of prey for a competency test. Hearing this, the students in the class seethe with anger. Is it that hunting game that simulates beast hunting behavior? It's a ranking test for the Elite Zone, but they use our lives as the test subjects. I heard no one ever comes back in one piece. Minor injuries are a lost arm or leg, major ones are instant death, all just to test his abilities? What the hell do they think we are? Suddenly, the boy's eyes dart to the side. Huh? He then points forward dismissively. Of course. You second-class citizens are nothing but disposable supplies. Now the students are even more furious. He said it out loud. He doesn't even see us as human. Lao O, standing behind him, reminds him, Young Master, you shouldn't say such things. Talman glances back and mutters, I can't say that? A second later, he waves his hand dismissively. Then pretend I never said it. Daoman holds out his palm, making an offer. Anyway, whoever is lucky enough to be chosen will get a cash reward. To put it simply, I'll buy your lives for about 100,000 each. Lao O whispers in shock, Young Master, you can't say that either. The other students are both terrified and seething with hatred. This is beyond insulting. Only Lamcam purses his lips, thinking, this is another chance to make money, but forget it. I shouldn't get involved with them for now. A student slams his hand on the desk with a loud bang. He jumps up and yells, Are you kidding me? This rotten rule should have been abolished long ago? What gives you the right to use our lives for your own amusement? The words barely leave his mouth before Lao O is behind him, unleashing a punch. Before he can even react, his neck swells up, and he screams in agony. A second later, the guy slumps onto his desk, out cold. Lao O points forward. My apologies, teacher. I took the liberty of helping you maintain classroom discipline. The teacher's face turns purple with fear. His voice trembles. Thank you, sir. I will definitely cooperate. The whole class stares at the unconscious student, whispering, just one hit, the power gap is insane. With that settled, Daomon claps his hands. All right, if there are no more objections, I'll start choosing. He immediately picks Tunak. You're one. Your beast form is a crocodile. Tuote, whose beast form is a pangolin, is the next one chosen by Tao Man. Tuoho is terrified when her name is called, and you. Her beast form is a skunk. Suddenly, Tunyak raises his hand. Young Master Dao, I'd like to recommend someone. He's perfect for being prey. He points a finger straight at Lamcam. It's him, Lamcam. I'm not exaggerating. He's truly the perfect prey. Daomon gives him an okay sign. All right, we'll add one more. It makes no difference to me. Seeing his plan succeed, Tunak shoots our boy a sinister smirk. The teacher then urges them, all right, the four of you who were called, follow young Master Dao. Suddenly, a hand goes up. Young Master Dao, I have a question, Lamcam asks. As I understand it, this test is about us running away, you hunting us, and we are the prey, correct? He casually raises a finger. So, what happens if the prey flips the script and hunts the hunter? Daomon's face darkens instantly after that question. The other three chosen students immediately look at Lamcam with utter confusion. What the hell is he talking about? Killing someone with a beastification rate over 50%? Did he not see what just happened? He can't even beastify. What an idiot. He must have scared himself stupid. Daomon grins, baring his teeth. You've got guts, kid, for your courage. If you actually win, I'll throw in a vial of beastification advancement medicine. Lao O bows his head and reminds him, Young Master, you absolutely cannot say that. That is an incredibly precious medicine. He brushes him off. Do I need your permission? The old man quietly replies, No, sir. The scene changes to a gorge. 6 people are standing at the bottom. Daoman looks up and explains, the test will take place on the training ground above. A map is shown, Long Sam Sodo, Elite Zone, Training Ground number 5, Giant Stone Plain, Zone 2, Tu Long's Hideout. The sun is high in the sky. Daoman holds up 3 fingers and announces the rules. The rules are simple. You get a 30-minute head start. If you can last for 3 hours without getting taken down, you win. Don't even think about hiding. If I catch you, I guarantee you'll be bedridden for half a year. You can run, hide, use any trick you want. He points at Lamcam, emphasizing, of course, you can also do as this handsome friend of ours said, and defeat me. A second later, Daomon retracts his finger and scoffs. Even though the chances of that are 0.000, you get the idea. Lao just listens calmly, while our boy looks down, thinking, based on the situation, this old butler won't let Daomon fail. He cheerfully urges them on. All right, that's the summary. Let's begin. Tunyak suddenly raises his hand, but we have no way to get up there. As soon as the words are out, a beastly foot grabs him. Lao O transforms into an owl man and yanks them all into the air. He spreads his wings and asks, Young Master, do you need me to carry you up? Taomon looks up and refuses. No need, I'll get up there myself. Consider it a warm-up. Lao O obeys, understood, and flies ahead. A moment later, his talons release everyone. They all scream as they plummet from the sky. They land with a series of thuds on training ground number 5, the giant stone plain. Down below, Daoman calculates, it's almost time. He exhales and takes off his jacket. A second later, Taoman's coat is left on the ground. He transforms into an ape-like beast, rolls up his sleeves, and mutters, let's get this over with quickly. On training ground number 5, the other 3 are running for their lives, shouting, Run! We just have to hold out for 3 hours. Tunyak glances back at Lamcam, a smug grin on his face. Good thing I dragged a sacrificial lamb along. He should be able to buy us some time. As the saying goes, you don't have to be the fastest, you just have to be faster than the other guy. Our boy is just strolling along casually, hands in his pockets. Lamcam takes out his phone and mutters, they really don't take us seriously. They didn't even confiscate our phones. He thinks for a moment. It seems Lamcam notices Lao flying high above and concludes, He's going to monitor the entire process. He quickly makes a call. "Hello, GFE?" She answers immediately. "Where did you go?" After hearing the news, GFE screams, "What? The hunting game? You're cooked!" "I'll take good care of Tulong. You can rest in peace." Lam Cam calculates, "I've already got this month's 45 seconds of Dragon Flame. Staying alive shouldn't be a problem." He chuckles softly, "But I need some extra protection. Help me contact someone." Cut to the other three, completely out of breath. Tuang-ak wipes sweat from his forehead. He says with absolute certainty, "We're safe here. That useless trash was definitely left far behind." He rubs his chin, thinking, "Lam Cam, if you have to blame someone, blame yourself for being so useless. That's just how cruel this world is." But then our boy appears right beside him. The only useless thing is running away. Tuang-ak's hair stands on end. He stammers in panic, You! How are you here?" Lam Cam holds out a hand, lecturing him. A buffalo is stronger than a lion, but because of its cowardly nature, it becomes food. The advantage is ours. Teaming up to attack is the optimal strategy. Tuang-ak loses it and screams, "I was asking you a question!" His face darkens as he lunges forward, cursing, "You son of a..." Lam Cam coldly extends his hand forward. With a single move, he grabs Tuang-ak by the face. Lam Cam's voice is stern. "I know about your little tricks, but I don't care, and I don't feel like explaining anything to you. But there's one thing you need to understand from now on." He lifts him into the air, his dark eyes intense. Everyone follows my lead. Meanwhile, Dao Man walks along, observing the tracks on the ground. The footprints end here. He suddenly tilts his head as if he's realized something. Dao Man glances over at a cluster of rocks up ahead. Just then, Lam Cam charges at his back. He throws a punch, aiming for a sneak attack, but Dao Man dodges it. He glances sideways, criticizing, "So, your strategy is a direct attack? Bold?" Lam Cam keeps pressing forward, his voice full of determination. "How will I know if I don't try? I want to see how big the gap is between me and an elite." But every single one of his attacks is dodged, followed by a taunt. Too slow. Dao Man smirks condescendingly. Hey, your skills don't match that mouth of yours at all. Can't you even beastify?" Lam Cam's face darkens. He thinks to himself, "His movements are too fast. I can't hit him." A second later, he lands a clean punch right in Dao Man's face. He stumbles back, but still speaks with confidence. Too light. Dao Man scowls. This is boring. With that, he swings his ape-like tail. It smacks right into Lam Cam, sending him flying. Seizing the opportunity, Tuang-ak, with his great mouth swallow technique, leaps behind Dao Man. The elite scoffs, ganging up on me now? Such teamwork. But even though Tuang-ak gets a hand on Dao Man's head, he still gets kicked square in the face. But Dao Man instantly turns the tables, slamming him to the ground and stomping on his face. Tu-ho with her special fart and Tu-tae with his armored chariot skill immediately charge in together. But before they can do anything, Dao Man catches them with one hand in his tail. He lifts both of them into the air, mocking, "Still too boring." Just then, a foot slams down on the ground. Lam Cam, his pupils transformed, appears right behind Dao Man, freezing him in place. He whispers in his ear, "Round 2 begins." Lam Cam charges from behind. Round 2. Dao Man turns his head with a mocking smile, using your teammates to create an opening. Turns out you're not such a good guy after all. Too bad your power level is a joke. I don't even need to defend. Just as he finishes speaking, a hand suddenly lunges at him. He jolts back, his eyes wide with surprise. Lam Cam roars as he unleashes his attack. Raging burst! Dao Man grits his teeth, trying to escape from him. Lao remains still, observing the entire situation. His face grows more and more tense and strained. Lam Cam furrows his brow and yells a reminder. But right now, up ahead lies a long row of massive boulders. Lao faces a problem but thinks of a way through it, blocked by the rocks. Was this a deliberate trap for me? But for this kind of test, the young master should be able to handle it. Then a shout rings out, ordering the crocodile, "Get him!" Tu-ho covers her mouth and begins to release a gas. Special fart. The stench of skunk quickly spreads everywhere. Stink bomb! Dao Man covers his nose and mouth in disgust. "So smelly! My eyes are burning!" Just then, Tute curls into a ball and rolls in. Pangolin, armor barrage. He's immediately put on the defensive, staggering from the blows. Tute just keeps rolling and bouncing around him. Daomon is still supremely confident. Good coordination, but your attacks are too weak. It's really just like an itch. I can break free from this easily. The one causing him the most trouble is Tiangyak. This guy is the most annoying, always finding the right moment to interrupt my counterattacks. Tunok relentlessly charges in. Look at me. Taomon is suddenly bitten on the leg. Then he screams in pain. Death roll. After that, Daomon falls to the ground in agony. Damn it. Suddenly, a whistle pierces the air. A whistle? Something is approaching at an incredible speed. Tiangyak narrows his eyes contemptuously. So this is all an elite amounts to. We won. At the same time, Tute is also laughing out loud. Tuho's mouth is agape, still in disbelief. We won. A hand with black claws appears. From inside a cave, the sky looks clear and beautiful. Lamcam suddenly jolts, then quickly leaps backward. In the next moment, Daonkao and Hokan suddenly jump down. Tunok's jaw drops in astonishment. Tute's nose suddenly starts bleeding. Tiaho stumbles backward in fear. Lamcam stands his ground, carefully sizing them up. They stand protectively around Daomon. A small, amused smile plays on our boy's lips. He has battle pets too. 2 of them. Daomon's killing intent is palpable as he declares, "This was just supposed to be a small test. I didn't plan on being ruthless with you, but now I've changed my mind. I'm going to kill all of you." Hearing this, the 2 battle pets immediately charge forward. Lamcam bites his own hand, activating super mode. He quickly dashes past Hokan, but unfortunately, both Tuho and Lamcam are attacked by it. On the other side, Tunyak is cowering in fear, tears streaming down his face. "Help me!" Our boy glances over, feeling completely helpless and annoyed. I don't really want to save this guy, but forget it. Lamcam sees Hokan's attack and yells a warning, "Fast, get down!" Our boy is quickly overwhelmed. Perfect offense and defense. There's basically no opening. This mode only lasts 45 seconds. Is my only option to run? Damn it, I can't accept this. Hasn't he arrived yet? At the same time, Lao O is flying high in the sky. He strains to see, confused. What's happening down there? The young master even summoned Don Kao and Hokan? Huh? In the next moment, Lao O senses someone behind him. Who's there? Bao Bao, completely cloaked, has a smile on his face. I've caught up. He then quickly unleashes an attack. Storm! Lao O turns to get a good look at his opponent. He spins, causing the stingers to miss him. Eagle Fist! Then Lao O suddenly realizes the truth. The target wasn't me! He screams a warning to Taomon. Young master, watch out! Luckily for him, his 2 battle pets move to protect him. Lao O flies down in a rage. How dare you launch a sneak attack? You severely underestimate the young master. Who the hell are you? But Bao Bao just wants to get out of there. My mission was to create an opening. Now that the mission's complete, it's time to bounce. He turns back to give Lamcam a final message. This is all I can do to help you, Lamcam. It's all for Tulong's sake. Just then, our boy and his crew arrive. We made it! We only have a split-second chance. We have to lure those 2 apes over. Lamcam turns to Tiote. I'll try to create chaos. Can you handle it? He nods confidently. Definitely. I'm actually really excited right now. Tiote curls up and rolls down the hill. Earth Cannonball. Daomon looks around and sneers. A smokescreen? Do you really think you can beat me? How arrogant. Taoho clenches her fists, tears in her eyes. I'll do my best. Lamcam carries her on his back and charges forward. Good, let's go. Hokan reacts quickly, moving to attack them. Tuho's eyes widen in surprise. So fast! Just then, Lamcam announces, It's here! Daomon is completely shocked. He managed to dodge Donkao's direct attack. Just then, he grimaces and turns his head. Daomon is confused by the dust everywhere. Huh? His hair suddenly floats up slightly. Yet Don Kao still manages to pinpoint his location. Lamcam coughs up blood, his face contorted in pain. Tao Man becomes arrogant again, trying to break through Hokan's absolute defense. You're still too green. But in the next moment, his expression turns to shock. Huh? Tuho suddenly jumps down, cheering herself on. Do your best! She quickly latches onto Tao Man's neck. In a shocking turn of events, they kiss. Super concentrated special. Dao Man's eyes go wide with utter astonishment. A horrifying stench emanates from Tioho's mouth. His eyes show a clear look of stunned terror. Dao Man stumbles, looking like he's about to fall. After a moment, Tioho pulls away, panting heavily. Tiute sees this and grins. It worked! Tionok is still crying, too scared to speak. It seems the foul smell has knocked Tao Man out cold. He lies motionless on the ground. Lam Cam seizes the opportunity. We only have a few seconds. There are still two of them. We have to run. But the battle pets remain completely still. Huh? Seeing this, even he is surprised. They're not moving anymore. Cut to the school, where everyone is cheering. Zone 2 won. They beat Tao Man. We defeated an elite from the upper zone. Holy crap. Is this the first time we've ever won a hunt? That's insane. Reporters are already swarming them. Excuse me, how did you manage to win? It was all thanks to him. He single-handedly defeated Dao Man. We just sat back and reaped the benefits. That's right, it was all thanks to Big Bro Crocodile. The three of them point at Tionok in unison. If you don't want to die, take the credit, Big Bro. Lam Cam turns and gives him a threatening look, making him tremble in fear. Tionok has no choice but to scratch his head awkwardly and accept the praise. It was me. The crowd around them immediately gets hyped. Big Bro! Over in another room, Dao Man clenches his fists in disbelief. Hang Hang asks, unable to believe it, you mean to tell me you were knocked out by a skunk? Lao O bows his head, taking the blame. It was because I let my guard down that the young master... She cuts him off, yelling, Shut up! Tao Man bows deeply and apologizes. I'm sorry. It's because my skills are lacking. I've brought shame upon you, mother. I'm sorry. Hang Hang maintains a cold, silent expression. Then she speaks, her words dripping with venom. Why did I give birth to such a useless son? Hang Hang then stands up and walks out of the room. I don't want to see you anymore. Tao Man stands there, tears of humiliation welling up in his eyes. Dao Liet suddenly walks in. Man, her temper is terrifying. He places a hand on Lao's shoulder. Are you all right, Lao? I'll have someone take you to get checked. The old man bows his head in shame. The madam's punishment was just... It was my fault. Dao Man quickly suppresses his emotions. Dao Liet gently pats his head, comforting him. All right, don't cry anymore. I'll talk to mother for you. Dao Man is miserable, blaming himself. It's all my fault for not being as strong as you, brother. Dao Liet remains gentle, trying to calm him down. That's not true. He raises a hand and smiles, continuing to praise him. You're amazing too, little brother. Mother's anger isn't entirely your fault. She's got other things on her mind. Meanwhile, Hang Hang is striding outside. She maintains her arrogant, high-class demeanor. They quickly enter a waiting room. Mintrok turns around and announces cheerfully, The Longsam High Council has arrived! Unnot smoothly compliments her. Long time no see, Director Tao. You're as young and beautiful as ever. In contrast, Nanhung turns away, annoyed. You call me here and then make me wait? Mintrok just clicks his tongue. Hai Sam squints suspiciously. Not everyone is here yet. Trong Bin smiles, waiting with anticipation. Is there some new information? Hang Hang sits down and reminds them, it's been 20 years since that incident. She invited them here to announce some news. A new dragon is about to be born. They all jolt in surprise. Huh? What are you talking about, Director Tao? The dragons went extinct 20 years ago. You called us all here for this? What a waste of my time. Are you delusional? Outside, two girls stand guard carefully. Someone inside asks, Director Dao, do you have some information? She glances to the side, emphasizing, in this very school. Hang Hang quietly reveals the truth. Everyone here can beastify. Cannibalism still happens from time to time. They implicitly allow students to slaughter each other. All of this exists because this place was never a school. It was established to study dragons. She reveals its true name, the Long Sam Laboratory. Hang Hang's face twists with disgust. You old hypocrites look pretty human now. 30 years ago, you were just parasites, sucking the blood of dragons to get where you are today. The room immediately falls silent. Nanhung turns and laughs confidently. Dragons are just ancient fossils. Our power has long since surpassed them. She shoots them a look of pure contempt. Then, Hang Hang stands up to leave. Out of respect for having founded Long Sam together, consider this my announcement. You have the right to not cooperate, to stand on the sidelines as spectators. But from now on, anyone who gets in my way will be considered my enemy. Non-Hung watches her leave, furious. That damn old hag, Trungbin laughs with amusement. Director Tao, what are you planning to do? Hang Hang puts a hand on her hip and declares, a full-scale search of the entire zone. The man breaks his chair as he vehemently objects, absurd! Tao Hang Hang, on what grounds can you search us? Do you want to plunge Long Sam into a civil war? We never should have let a woman sit on the council in the first place. She remains calm, a contemptuous smirk on her face. Hang Hang gives them a choice. You can choose to start that war right now. They all look at each other, their faces twisted with unease. Then she calmly calls him in. If there's nothing more to be said, come in, Dowliet. You will be in charge of the search. He clasps his hands and smiles confidently. Council members, I will not let you down. Muk Jia announces with great satisfaction, all conditions are met. We can finally start training without any worries. He points and explains in detail. This is a flight suit. Most young birds need their parents to demonstrate for them the first time. If you want to teach Tulong to fly, you have to know how to fly yourself. Mukjia walks to the edge of the cliff and instructs Lamcam, come here and jump. It's normal to be nervous the first time you jump off a cliff. The important thing is your core, and it's not my first time. Our boy puffs out his cheeks, steels himself, and says, let's do this. But as he spreads his wings and jumps, he panics. This is hard to control. In the next moment, he plummets straight down. Up above, a terrified Tulong clings to Jiafi's leg. A moment later, he breaks the surface of the water. Lamcam climbs ashore, panting heavily. Harder than I thought. I can't keep my balance at all. Now, Tulong is even more scared of flying. It's all my fault for being a bad example. Jiafi leans down, worried. So what do? Maybe we should break down the movements and start with the simplest ones? Suddenly, Bao Bao appears with his arms crossed. Your center of gravity is dispersed, and your gluteus maximus isn't clenched. You need to get a feel for controlling your body in the air first. Mukjia turns his head, his body stiff with annoyance. What's this pervy teacher planning now? Jiafai grits her teeth in alarm. Warning! Lamcam, exhausted, holds his head and explains, I called him here. He knows how to fly. He states his reason bluntly. Among the people who know about this, he's the only one with experience. Bao Bao is also more than happy to help. I am more than willing to contribute to Tulong's growth. Hearing this, Mukjia still seems unable to accept it. But he's a pervert. Jiafi just screams in terror, what am I supposed to do? The man smiles and points, ordering, first, let's practice jumping from a high place 200 times. Flying with him? Are you trusting him with your life? Jiafai grabs Mukjia's arm and urges him, if he's this reckless, Tu Quat Tu is going to get himself killed. Stop them, Mukjia. He strokes his chin, speculating. Lamcam does everything with a purpose. It's like he's testing that teacher. Bao Bao pulls Lamcam up into the air. A test? Dropping you from this height would be fatal, you know. A small smile plays on his lips as he says, this is the third trust exercise you've put me through, isn't it? Bao Bao had him figured out from the start. Round 1, you didn't kill me and even lived in the house I provided. That was a test to see if I'd reveal Tiolong's existence. Round 2, the sneak attack on Dao Man, a scion of the upper class. A test to see if I had the courage and ability to stand against powerful forces. Round 3, entrusting your life to me, a test of my loyalty. To you and the dragon, I've investigated you. A few weeks ago, you were just a rock-bottom student with no beastification ability. Besides that, there's zero information on you. It's hard to imagine an ordinary student could be so calculating. Bao Bao drops the act and asks directly, who are you, really? As soon as he finishes, he lets go, dropping Lamcam. Lamcam spreads his arms, trying to get into the correct posture. Below him is a massive boulder. A scream suddenly rings out, Tu Quat Tu! Our boy's eyes widen in utter shock. But just in time, Bao Bao swoops down and catches him. He's so scared he's breaking out in a cold sweat. The teacher flashes an amused smile, coaxing him. Do you trust me now? Tell me your secret. But our boy just cheerfully turns his head and reminds him, Teacher, we still have 199 more times to go. Maybe we should finish those first? Bao Bao hovers in midair, watching Lamcam practice his control, reminding him, clench your butt Tighten your abs, feel the rhythm of the wind. He continues to freefall through the sky as the count continues. 35th time, 49th time, 121st time, 150th time. Down below, Jia Fi sighs alongside Mook Jia, Tia Long, and Dai Now. I still prefer the old slacker Tia Quat Tu. He's gotten way too intense. He hasn't hung out with me in forever. Tia Long looks up at the sky and lets out a few chirps. Soon, night falls. A voice calls out, "That's enough for today. It's dark, we can't see anything anymore." Lam Cam wipes the sweat from his forehead, panting. So tired. Mook Jia stands behind him and offers, "Let me help you stretch your muscles." He immediately pulls out a spiky massage roller and runs it down our boy's back, not forgetting to warn him, "This is gonna hurt." Mook Jia frowns. "Tomorrow will be even worse. Every single muscle group will ache at the same time." Lam Cam is drenched in sweat, his whole body shaking, but he still gives a thumbs up and stammers, "No problem." Suddenly, Tu Long toddles over to him. It licks his face, making him smile. "Are you worried about me, little guy?" "I'm fine." Lam Cam strokes Tu Long's head and whispers, "We have to grow up fast so we can stand on our own." Suddenly, someone sets down a glass. "Hey, this is a special drink I mixed just for you. It's Dr. Fam Fam certified." Everyone freezes as she details the ingredients. 150 milliliters of fresh milk, 1 scoop of whey protein, 3 raw eggs, 10 anti-inflammatory pills, 15 vitamin tablets. It's a super energy drink. Drink it and you're guaranteed to be back in top form. Mook Jia tries to stop him. "Don't drink it!" But Lam Cam yells, "To get stronger!" and chugs the entire glass. A second later, he collapses on the ground with a burp. From inside the house, Jia Fi's voice rings out. "Tu Kwa Tu!" Mook Jia shouts in panic. "Is he dead?" Tu Long cries out in confusion. Bao Bao nonchalantly changes the subject. "I heard you won a vial of medicine from Tao Man. You could drink that. Your body would recover instantly, and it would also raise your beastification rate." Lam Cam holds up the green vial Tao Man gave him. "This thing?" Back then, the guy had snapped, "I don't owe you anything." Back in the present, our boy remarks, "I can't believe he actually kept his promise. But with my constitution, this is useless." Bao Bao can't help but ask, "Have you taken it before?" Lam Cam hands it to Jia Fi. "This is for you. Consider it a thank you for the milk." The teacher leans back in his chair. "Drink it, little cat. That's a very precious medicine. The fact that you can maintain your cat ear beastification state daily proves you have great potential. This medicine could help you break through your bottleneck." Yet she raises a hand to refuse. "I don't need it. I only beastify for convenience, not for fighting. I like myself the way I am now." Lam Cam hesitates. "So what should we do with it?" Jia Fi is firm. "I'm not taking it anyway. Give it to Mook Jia." He refuses. "I don't need it either." Bao Bao sweats a little. "That medicine is really valuable, you know." Mook Jia explains, "I'm not like Dr. Fam Fam. I don't have the beastification gene. I'm a human who can't beastify." He smiles softly, his voice full of determination. "My goal is to become a dragon trainer, just like my parents." Mook Jia recalls his father's stories. "The old man used to tell me about my parents' identities, but I didn't believe him. It wasn't until I saw the baby dragon with my own eyes that I knew everything he said was true." In front of a door, a voice says, "This Long Sam school was once founded by the supreme commissioners who served the 4 great divine beasts." Mook Jia lists the familiar names, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, and the faction my parents belonged to the dragon. He imagines a dark silhouette, his voice turning somber. But the dragons were wiped out in a previous war. My parents also died in that battle. The dragon rider, Lam Nak Thon, has been missing ever since. The dragon rider, Lam Nak Thon, missing. Hearing that title drops a heavy silence over the room, and honestly, to understand the absolute weight of what was lost, we have to pause and look at our own real-world history for a second. You see, the reverence for dragons isn't just some cool anime trope. It's deeply baked into the DNA of ancient Eastern civilizations. Take the year 1010 AD, for example. Real history tells us that King Lai Tai, founder of the Lai dynasty, moved his empire's capital after witnessing a massive golden dragon rising from the misty river. He named the new capital Thang Long, literally translating to ascending dragon. If you visit the archaeological digs at the imperial citadel of Thang Long today, you won't find depictions of mindless, fire-breathing monsters. Instead, archaeologists have unearthed intricate terracotta and jade dragons with sinuous, cloud-like bodies, absolute symbols of divine royal authority, cosmic balance, and supreme wisdom. But the lore goes even deeper when you tap into the ancient folklore. Across the East, the Azure Dragon, or Thon Long, one of the legendary four symbols mentioned by Mokjia, was revered as the ultimate guardian of the East, controlling the life-giving spring rains. Furthermore, according to the oldest mythologies of Vietnam, the people themselves are descendants of Loc Long Quan, a primordial dragon lord of the seas. The legends say this Gigacha dragon lord didn't just rule, he fiercely protected ancient humans from terrifying sea monsters and forged an eternal pact with the land, making his people the true children of the dragon. For thousands of years, the dragon represented an unbreakable, sacred covenant between the heavens, the earth, and humanity. It was the ultimate protector. So, wrapping our heads back to the story, when the dragon faction was wiped out and Lam Nak Thon vanished, it wasn't just a tragic military defeat, it was the literal severing of a divine bond. Humanity lost its ultimate guardian, leaving a massive power vacuum for corrupted, power-hungry maniacs to exploit. With the true symbol of balance gone, it's no wonder the school's hierarchy has devolved into such a toxic, survival-of-the-fittest nightmare. Speaking of that nightmare, cut to the elite zone of the school. In front of a massive pile of paperwork, someone complains, "There's still this much?" Dowliat rubs his forehead, blaming himself. The number of incidents at this school is insane. Trying to find clues related to dragons in this mess is impossible. I must have been crazy to accept this job. Meanwhile, the female staff are working tirelessly. One approaches him and reports softly, "Young master, this requires your approval." He snaps, "Give me 5 seconds of peace." Dao Liet picks up a stack of documents and orders. "No, at this rate, we'll never finish. Mobilize all the lower-level departments with testing capabilities. Hand this portion over to them." The secretary adjusts her glasses, stunned. "Huh?" At the same time, the lights are still on at the hospital. Fam holds a water bottle in one hand and rubs her neck with the other. "So tired. I have to take care of Ruby, but I can't neglect my work. I'm about to collapse." Just then, the secretary hands over the work. The other person forces a smile and promises, "Yes, within a month, I guarantee the task will be completed." After that, they have to bow respectfully as he leaves. "Take care, sir. We will definitely do our best." Then she shoves the pile of documents onto Fam's desk, turns, and leaves with her colleague, not forgetting to say, "To Fam, this stack of test reports is for you. Get it done within a week." Fam's eyes well up with tears. What is this? I can't stand this workplace for another day. She suddenly freezes when she sees the title, Rat Infestation Incident at the old dormitory. Cut to Lam Cam flying through the air, shouting excitedly, "I can feel it! I can feel the wind currents!" Bao Bao instantly grabs his wrist as Lam Cam's feet nearly touch the water. A short while later, they're standing on the cliff. A voice says, "Let's try flying with your own wings one more time. This time, it will definitely work." Now he's holding Tu Long, who chirps a few times. Then Tu Long licks Lam Cam's face. Bao Bao is lost in thought for a moment. He lowers his voice, asking a huge question. "Lam Cam, are you Lam Nak Thon's son?" Tu Long quickly leaps onto his shoulder, both of them on high alert.